You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Chris Vermeulen. His website is thegoldanoilguy.com. We'll speak to Chris right after this.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
We're talking with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, one of the things that might shock people in the oil business is that the world's most populous nation in 6 years, India, plans to have a 100% electric vehicle fleet by 2030.
Well, that's pretty ambitious, but that, I think, will definitely shock the oil industry. You know, the whole electric industry is really slowly starting to pick up speed, and I think over the next 5-10 years, there's going to be a dramatic shift away from oil, and it's going to definitely play a big part in probably reduced oil prices in the long run. But I don't really see that happening anytime soon. That's a long ways out. That's a lot of work. A lot of things need to be implemented before that'll really kick in. That being said, the stock market, it moves ahead of time. It sees what's coming, and it already kind of moves and factors that into the price. So, I think it's a long ways out before we're really going to start to see a major, reduction in the amount of crude oil being used. But, it's coming down the pipeline. It's for sure. Everybody's moving towards electrical as much as they can.
What is the short-term, medium-term, and long-term outlook for crude?
Crude oil, I still see crude oil holding up fairly well here over the next probably 10 days or so. This is the short-term outlook. I think we're going to go back up and test the recent highs around the $42, $43 per barrel mark from 3 weeks ago. But after that, I actually see crude oil softening up and probably going all the way back down to test around the $32 per barrel. So it'll be a pretty significant slide going forward. But in the long run, I am very bullish on crude oil. It's got the energy sector, or the energy sector stocks and crude oil itself, I think, are going to be baselining here for a long time. And you and I talked about this back in January, that we're probably going to see crude oil trade in this big range between $45 and $27 a barrel for pretty much most of 2016. And it's going to build a base, and we're going to see energy stocks continue to underperform and fall. But in the long run, I think most of the downside damage is done, and we're going to see crude oil go back all the way up into the 70s, in due time. No problem.
It's just a matter of how long it'll take to get there?
Well, that's exactly it. And that's the part that catches most traders and investors off guard, is the market, if it can't shake you out, it'll wait you out. And holding positions for a long period of time costs money. And if you're in energy stocks that you're expecting crude oil to go up, those are going to be really poor investments long term, in my opinion, because if energy prices stay down where they are, these companies are going to have terrible earnings. They're going to, potentially start talking about or creating dividend cuts, and it's just going to kill the shares of energy stocks. So, it's not something I think is worth getting in anytime early. There'll be tons of time. We've got months, if not a year, before there's going to probably be something real significant opportunity to get in there. So, no rush for the whole view of crude oil.
What about the storage of crude right now? I keep hearing every month, we've reached the limit, we can't store anymore, and yet somehow they seem to find little nooks and crannies to stuff more oil in.
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do. Everybody's trying to just get rid of this stuff almost. It's almost becoming a problem. They don't want to shut their rigs down and pumping, but they're running out of places to put the stuff, and it's actually starting to become quite a problem. And there's probably going to be a point here where we're going to see some big washout, or everybody just has to start flogging the price of oil and drop it to sell it and get it used. And it's probably going to kill the price of oil, which is why I see it going back down to the 32 level, potentially all the way back down to test the lows we saw down around 27, 26. I don't see any real, strength in the market other than a blip in a couple of weeks. I think we'll see it work itself up. Other than that, we're going to be trading lower, and we're going to be down here for quite some time.
What happens when everything is full? Are they going to stop production or slow production?
I have no idea. I don't know what you do, and you don't have anywhere to put it. It's going to be a problem for some people, and for all you know, it could end up creating some pretty serious spills or something in oceans and rivers and leaks. Like if all the rigs are filled and all these offshore places are pumping and can't stop and cut off the wells, some of these places, it takes months to get things cut off and closed down. If all the rigs are full in the area, what do? You can't, you might not be able to cap it or close it off. So it could be a major issue down the road. And I really don't know. I've never really looked into what the problem is when there's nowhere to put it. How easy is it to close a well and say, and shut that valve off from it oozing out oil everywhere?
What are some of the creative solutions they've come up with to store this excess oil?
To be honest, I don't know. Other than filling every nook and cranny like you mentioned, I don't get into where they're putting it. I just kind of follow the price and just read the news about every tanker is full, every truck is full, every storage pod is getting filled or brought back to life for temporary short-term storage. So they're just trying to find places to store it, and that's all I really know about that side of things.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after the break.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Unbelievable harmony, spectacular performance, the ultimate tribute to the Everly Brothers and Simon & Garfunkel. Bird Dog and the Vintage Electric Band coming to Mission, White Rock, West Vancouver. Buy online and save at ontourtickets.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Chris Vermeulen. Gold, of course, has been very popular over the last few months, but the gold to silver ratio has now extended to 80-1 when usually it's 16-1. Does that mean silver is ready for a big charge?
Yeah, you can see it either way. Silver's either ready for a big charge or gold is going to kind of deflate a little bit as a safe haven and come back down and equal things out. It could really go either way. I've been watching gold in its cycles for a while, and it looks as though, to me, we're going to see gold continue to come down over the next months and change. And we're probably, right now, it's trading at $12.32 an ounce. I think U.S., I think we could see it eventually come all the way down to the 11.40, potentially even 11.20 area over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. I know we had the pop there with a couple of days ago with the Fed speaking, and everybody was thinking, and that's it, this is it, gold won't go down, here's another big rally day, we've missed getting in at the bottom, it's time to pile in. Everybody was getting all worked up and emotional on that one day pop, and all gold did actually was have a relief rally from a short-term oversold level, and it popped and rallied right into its first resistance zone, and then it reversed down yesterday hard, and gold is struggling to hold up today. So, people are really antsy. They're really bullish on gold, and they want it to go up. And everything from how I see it, how I read all my emails, my emails are almost like an indicator. When everybody gets bullish and they start, thinking it's just going higher, there's going to be no pullback in gold. And all my technical indicators are telling me there should be a pullback in gold. I know we're right there, right at the bitter end. We're going to get a big drop. It should happen, within a couple of days here, and then continue over the next several months and shake the majority of the market out before it bottoms and I think starts a more significant rally going forward long term.
Bullion versus gold stock right now.
I'm short gold as of yesterday morning, and I think gold's going to pull back again. And if you look at gold miners, they're overextended to the upside. They've got a chart that looks like it is just going to crash so fast and so hard. Both of them are going down. Gold miners fall a lot faster in a percentage basis. So really, I'd be taking on a short position with a protective stop. I don't think they can go much higher before we see a sharp correction. So I think when the time comes, gold miners are going to be long-term. I think they're going to be a great, this is a better investment. Gold mining stocks outperform, huge. You can see 400, 500, 600% return fairly easy if you get in a gold stock when it's in early stages of a bull market like what we're in now, and then you catch that first half of the gold bull market. Eventually, you want to flip your positions. Once you get those massive gains in those stocks, you're talking 300-600% return. We're a year or two into this gold bull market, the next one. That's when you actually want to probably almost flip out of those stocks and actually go into bullion, because bullion will start to outperform in the later half, and it'll hold up, and it's more of a safe haven kind of play to kind of preserve. So that's kind of how I see things going forward.
In places like Japan and Germany, they have gold bullion vending machines where you can get a little wafer, 100 grams of gold for whatever that costs, and people feel that's a secure thing to do. Do you see these little kiosks or vending machines happening in North America?
I don't know. I haven't seen them, but I don't leave my office and go out shopping too often. Have you seen them? Do you have them in Vancouver there?
Well, not in Vancouver, but if you go to Hong Kong, they're everywhere.
Right, yeah. Well, you know what? They're going to have to be built like ATM machines, because when the price of gold and silver do skyrocket and the financial systems start to wobble a lot more and people become more afraid, and of course that jacks the price up of metals, these vending machines are going to have to be bolted and attached to a building just like a bank, because really all they are is ATM machines, for a lot of people. That's how they're going to be perceived eventually. So I think it's a great idea. I think if you could go out and buy these, it'd be kind of a cool, convenient tool. But I'm not into really just, if I've got money on me, I would use money, not go and buy these little wafers and things like that. But it's an interesting concept, and it's great for small amounts of money and, trickling in, slowly building your reserve of gold and silver.
What about the gap between so-called paper gold and real gold? I hear it's the gap is in the hundreds.
Yeah, I don't trust paper gold. I don't trust it at all. And, some of the ETFs are kind of scary too, because they're kind of like, some of them don't have physical gold on them. And there's all this talk and rumors that some of the ones that are supposed to have physical bullion to back it up don't have the amounts they're supposed to. They're just holding paper and saying that they've got the proper gold. So it's, the whole financial industry is real tough. You never know what's true. You never know, if things are the way they should be. It's a market just rigged, pickled with scams and easy way outs, and, nobody wants to ever let the truth out of the bag. So it's kind of a whole bunch of, it's like a deck of cards, a house of deck of cards, and they're all bent and wobbly, and they have, multiple signs written on them. Just, they don't mean anything anymore. So my whole thing is, I'm all about physical bullion. If you want to be really protected long term, I'm all about having some physical metals. I love trading the ETFs and the gold stocks, no problem there, but I like to have some physical on hand, because there'd be nothing worse than seeing all this unfolding, watching gold skyrocket in value, and you own all these ETFs and stocks, and something happens with the financial system or the currencies, and there's some big reset that everybody is like, oh my gosh, what happened to all my money, and why didn't I just buy some bars of gold and have them stored, somewhere? So I think you need to have some of that insurance, buy some physical metals. I don't think the world will really ever get to the point where we're bartering so much for gold and silver, but you got to have some, and you've got to understand the risks for getting into some of these ETFs that are leveraged, and they're just playing on paper and calculations to generate their price value. They don't have anything behind them but bunch of guys running numbers and algorithms giving you a price. There's nothing behind it but, hot air.
How hard is it to acquire and store physical gold?
There's so many companies that do it. It's really flawless. You can buy your physical gold from a company, and that same company has already partnered with other physical bullion storage firms, and they just ship it over and move it and charge you a nominal little fee. It really doesn't get any easier than it is. Anybody can do it pretty much in any country, so it's a no-brainer. And I don't think you want to do it within a bank, though. I think you want to be outside of the banking system because the government has their greedy hands and fingers. Doesn't matter where you are. They've got them into a bank that they can pretty much make anything happen, even though it's not a law right now. So I would keep whatever you have outside of the banking system into a private company.
Well, personally, I've experienced the system at work with the bank where you put a deposit in and they don't put it where you want it. They put it where they want because they explain it's legal. The bank owns your money once you give it to us. And that has caused a lot of financial problems for me because they just put it where it worked for them best, not for me. So they do that with your gold as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you look at all these people who put all their money into the bank and then they leverage your money 30-1. You put in $1,000 and they leverage it and go throw it on something super risky with 30-1 leverage. They lose it all and risk going bankrupt. And you gave them money in good faith that you're going to get it back, and here they just lost 30,000 to your 1,000. And if they go bankrupt, they can't pay you. You should have like a checkbox or whatever, something that when you deposit money, you say, I just want this money being stored in the bank, and I don't want you to touch it. I will pay. You don't have to pay me an interest rate, or I'll pay you a nominal rate. Just hold it safe and don't touch my money. Or you can check the box saying, here you go. Give me my small interest rate on my bank account, like always, but you can take this money and go leverage it all you want and try and make more. There should be that option because a lot of people would opt to just say, give me a smaller percentage or nothing and just store it, but it's there, and no matter what happens, it's like segregated, and if that bank goes bankrupt, that money is, in a special account that you still get your money back.
What about your safety deposit box? Would that be a suitable thing, and would you get it back if a bank went bankrupt?
Yeah, I don't think you would. I think that's I think the government's probably got their eye on those boxes. They would probably go through them all and ransack them for anything with value. There's all kinds of rules with safety deposit boxes. You can't put, I'm sure every bank is different, especially in the States, but here in Canada, at the bank that I use, you're not supposed to store cash, and you're not supposed to put physical metals in there. Like, they got all these crazy rules. You're like, well, what the heck is a safety deposit box for? And so I have one, but it's, just for some documents that I have, nothing to do with, real assets, because to me, if it's in the bank doors and they've got the key to get at it, it's not yours. So it scares me, and I just don't go that route.
Well, in Japan, where they've brought in negative interest rates, so you lose money putting it in the bank, people have withdrawn their cash and have put a huge run on home safes. It's almost impossible to find one now in Tokyo.
A big run on what? Sorry?
Home safes. To store their cash.
Home safe, yeah. Yeah, well, you and I touched on this in our last talk, and I'm not a huge fan of home safes. You better, if you're doing new home construction, it'd be great, because then you can build like a special cubby encased in, concrete, and you have everything figured out that it slides in and totally nobody could get into that baby. You have to do it that way. But other than that, a safe bolted to a wall or 3 walls, a floor and stuff, people can pry out anything they want. I'm not a huge fan of keeping stuff in-house, period. I like things taken care of for me outside and done properly.
And, of course, in Vancouver, we have home invasions where, they'd like to tie up people and torture them to reveal the safe combination.
Yeah.
So It's not very safe that way. I guess you just don't advertise, hi, I've got all my wealth at home.
No, exactly. It's not a good strategy. And, I'd hate to be in the States and if people know that in the States, well, heck, everybody's probably got an average of 3 guns. So it's, you definitely don't want to mess around.
Going back to oil-powered cars to electrical cars, well, Tesla is now taking pre-orders for their Tesla 3 model. That's 30 grand instead of 105,000.
The SUV?
Well, now it's just the regular sedan.
Oh, okay. I thought they were doing an SUV too, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, I think that company is going to just do extraordinarily well in the long run. They've got such a great car. I've driven one, and I love it. I think it's awesome. Other than I like the sound and the feel of the motor. There's something about it. Feels like I'm riding a golf cart. A pretty sweet golf cart, but it's weird. You just hear crackling under the tires from the gravel when you're cruising up the street, and that's it. But I think that company's great. They're expanding. Like, they're getting into systems where you can use the Tesla car battery in your house and have solar panels. And they've got supposedly, is what I heard the other day, was you can put the solar panels up and have this awesome Tesla battery, and during peak hours of the night, you're running off this Tesla battery to reduce your consumption, and then the Tesla will either charge with solar, or you can just have it so that it'll automatically charge during the lowest times of the day when energy is cheaper, so you don't even need solar panels. So it'll charge midday when rates are really low, and then you're drawing off it when rates are double, triple the price at night. It's they got some great stuff coming down the line, and this whole electric side of things with cars and energy for homes and stuff is, we are just scratching the surface. It's like, there's going to be a point here, like a turning point, where we're going to just have so much electric stuff just going nuts. It's going to be wild. It's going to be great, because I can't wait to get away from, all the fuels and all that stuff. But I haven't done enough research to really know how much waste is created with batteries and pollution and all that stuff to make these batteries that need replaced over and over. For all you know, it could be a tough scenario still.
Well, there are companies that are recycling lithium from those batteries. Yeah,
there are. And you know what? It was interesting. Just almost to jump topics here. I was watching a TED Talk the other day with this young guy, this little young science physicist dude, and he was on there talking about how we can use energies that we've already created. And back in the war days, got all these nuclear heads, and he's talking about how he's created this little nuclear generator that doesn't have the problem of exploding and meltdown and all this stuff. It was really amazing. And he was talking about how we've got enough energy to power hundreds of cities with all the stuff in this generator that they're working on and creating. One generator will run 30 years and feed itself off of part of a nuclear warhead. And it'll power up to 27,000 homes or something like that. And it doesn't need service for 30 years. And, there's some really amazing stuff coming down the pipeline. And, I think my kids, who are 4 and 6, when they are 35, this world is going to be such a different place. It's going to be, I live somewhat near a road. I can hear a major highway across the water. And, in 35 years or 10 years, it's just going to be just a hum. Like, it'll be quiet, because there will be no more motors roaring and stuff like that. It's going to be all electric.
Well, I haven't heard yet about big semi-tractors being turned to electrical yet, but is that down the pipeline?
Oh, I don't know. Who knows? Well, eventually maybe trying. But you can do the hybrids, right? Like, who is it who's got that hybrid car where it's got a tiny little gasoline engine, and it charges its own battery, and it'll use the gasoline when it needs it? It's just really efficient. And, there's so many ways you can go about doing things. Tractor trailers is pretty extreme. You probably need a real fossil fuel for that. But there's some great stuff. I've been working with a company that's looking to build a new 6-seater amphibious aircraft. And they're a complete electric system. It's got a tiny little high compression engine in it that automatically turns on when you go to take off, so that you've got tons of juice. The motor is about 12 inches around, electric motor, and it puts out like 400 and something horsepower. And they can go and fly, and once they're up cruising, the battery runs on itself, and when the battery drops to a certain energy level, this tiny little motor pops on and rejuices up the battery and also powers the plane at the same time with the electric. It is really amazing, and I think an all-electric car is still that's far stretched. I talked to a lot of friends who have got Teslas, and they're mapping out. They're a little cult in themselves, but they map out how they have to get somewhere. Well, I'm going to stop at this random guy's house for 3 hours or an hour for a quick charge, and then I'm going to stop at this guy several hours later, and I'll be there by nightfall and it won't cost me a dime. It's interesting, but I like the idea of having a small motor that you can just keep on trucking and make your way somewhere and not rely on having to find somebody with a special plug and a charger. We're still a little ways away from it being, usable for the masses.
Chris, thanks a lot for chatting with us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jim. Always a pleasure.
My guest has been Chris Vermeulen. His website is thegoldenoilguy.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Comments or questions for the show can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. And check out our popular YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.